Yeah, exactly.
Recording has begun. Good evening. This is the May 19, 2026 regular meeting of the Complaint Committee of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force of the City and County of San Francisco. The time is 5:31 p.m. The Sunshine Ordinance Task Force and its committees convene in hybrid meetings that allow for either in-person attendance or remote participation. Public comment will be taken on each item of the agenda. Meeting decorum. Any member of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force or its committees may call for decorum due to the disorderly conduct of meeting participants. Persons who engage in threatening and/or menacing behavior may be asked to leave. A reminder, please, for individuals who have joined us via the WebEx platform. There is a chat function, but please do not use it. We do not respond to the chat messages, as members of the public who have joined us by telephone or who are in the room cannot see it. Please raise your hand in the app if you wish to be recognized. Chair Schmidt, that completes my announcements.
Great, thank you. Let's go on to our first item.
Item 1. Call to order, roll call, and agenda changes. Taking the roll. Chair Schmidt.
Present.
Chair Schmidt, present. Vice Chair Stein. Present. Vice Chair Stein, present. Member Sugarman.
Present.
Member Sugarman, present. Member Kumar.
Present.
Member Kumar, present. For present, we have a quorum. Chair Schmidt, we have no known agenda changes.
No known. Okay. You got notice from Member Pelpel about the item at the end, and I think we'll wait until then to figure out if we need to handle it without him. But it's possible that he's not going to make it.
Item number 2, approval of the April 21, 2026 Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Complaint Committee regular meeting minutes.
Okay, any members, any edits? Member Stein.
Yeah, I just have some very small edits, which I could also email you, but I'll just say what they are. On page 2, my name is spelled wrong. It's Stein, not Stein. Also on page 2, there's just an extra parenthesis, like one parenthesis that doesn't need to be there. And like I said, I can just email these where they occur. And then page 3, is it page 3? We've got 2 complaints that say we recommend finding a violation by failing to respond. I think it should just say for failing to respond. And then page 5, it says we found a violation of 6721B-C, and I think that's just a little bit confusing. It should be 6721B and C. And those are my only suggested changes, and I can email those right now.
Thank you. Noted.
Okay, I'll move to approve with those changes.
Public comment before motions?
Let's stay with the older format. I know that there was a change made. Well, members, do you want to change the order the way that we've changed the order for the full task force? I guess I'm open either way.
I guess it should. Oh, I would say probably it should be consistent.
Okay, we'll do that. So let's do the new order. So before I make a motion or anyone makes a motion, we'll do the public comment on this item.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on item 2? If you're in the room, please approach the podium. If you're online, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. I'll give you a moment. We have no one in the queue. Chair Schmidt, you started to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll move that the minutes be approved with the changes from Member Stein.
Is there a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by Member Sugarman. Moved by Chair Schmidt, seconded by Member Sugarman to approve the April 21, 2026 Complaint Committee minutes as amended. Taking the vote. Chair Schmidt.
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar.
Aye.
Member Kumar, aye. Vice Chair Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. 4 ayes. Motion passes. It's a good thing it's not more than 5 fingers here.
We're working on it.
Item 3, public comment. Members of the public may address the committee on matters that are within the committee's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. Anyone wishing to make public comment, please approach the podium. If you're in the room, raise your hand in the app or press *3. I want to remind individuals that we are not using the chat function. And that is because individuals who have joined us by telephone or are in the room cannot see chats. We have no one in the queue.
Okay, general public comment closed. Let's go to number 4.
Item number 4, file number 25119. This is public request number 25-279. A complaint filed by Aaron Wilson against the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.21, by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and/or complete manner. Promoting Mr. Wilson to panelist.
Hello. Good evening, panel. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you. One moment, please, while I check to see if we have respondent present. Do we have someone here from the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing? Please raise your hand in the app or press *3. Does not appear that we have someone here from the department.
Okay, if we'll check later in considering the matter. Maybe they'll appear, although we don't need to check actually. So we'll go ahead with this. Let me explain that we have, it looks like 7 complaint matters scheduled today. And so for each of those, the process will be as follows. We will give each side up to 3 minutes to start to tell us about your case. The complainant first, the respondent last. And keep in mind that we've had the files that are being considered. We've had the paperwork to consider, so probably no need to repeat what we've already seen. After 3 minutes and 3 minutes will be part 2, which is we may ask questions. The members may have questions to ask of the parties. And after the question and answer period, we will move on to what's called deliberation, which is in this committee, we answer questions, two basic questions, which is, does this matter involve public records or public meetings? And two, does the task force have jurisdiction? Are there any jurisdictional issues in the case? I'm sorry. And we also will consider whether to send the matter for hearing before the full task force. This committee does not make final substantive decisions. It may make recommendations. We may send on to the task force with or without recommendations. We may come up with something that doesn't send it to the full task force. Often we do send it for hearing for the full task force. There are some cases where we will place a matter on a consent calendar with a proposed ruling for the task force. Okay, let's begin with petitioner on this first case, the Wilson matter.
3 minutes.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson, are you ready for your 3 minutes?
Yes, Ms. Peterson.
Your time begins now.
Okay, thank you to the committee and Ms. Peterson for hearing my case today. This case, 25279, took a year to get to the point where they thought they were closing it up. I think the allegation of a timely manner failing to perform is on its face here. As far as the timeline goes, we can see that there was a gap of 4 months between distribution of rolling documents after asking many times, hey, they took their sweet time, and after 4 months, they gave the last batch of documents, said they were done. This took a whole year. They initially identified over 2,200 documents. I only got less than 400. So I didn't get really the lion's share of them, and I had to wait a whole year. And I want to throw in a very concerning thing regarding the redaction aspect of it. In what I got, there was over 100 redacted documents, which they in themselves had many redactions in them. So you're talking hundreds of redactions, perhaps even thousands. They just stamped a blanket redaction identification on the timeline for it. Like, all the redactions are for this reason. And I think this is a violation of the Sunshine Ordinance, because there it says there that each redaction must cite a specific section of the Public Records Act or local Sunshine Ordinance that allows it for it to be redacted, not blanket to cover hundreds of redactions or thousands of redactions. That's what they did. So they took their sweet time, and they didn't do it the right way anyway. And so I think by looking at the timeline, we could see the dates of document distribution, how long it took, and that defies the timely response required by the Sunshine Ordinance. That's my opening statement. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, respondent not being present, let's see if we have any questions for the petitioner. I'll ask the first question, which is, you said that after the 4 months, you got a shipment of documents, and you said something to the effect, and tell me if I'm saying this wrong, that was the final shipment. Was it indicated to you that the respondents were taking the position that there was no more to produce at that time.
Yeah, they just said, that's all you're getting. We're closing this thing out. You know, they have the power to close.
And they closed it then.
Yeah, that would, just to give you a specific date, we have released all responsive documents for this request and give the blanket redaction was the next sentence, January 26, 2026. Again, I started this January 11th, 2025. So we're talking a little over 1 year to get this to the point where they said it's over with.
And your concern that you didn't get everything, it sounds like one significant reason for that concern is that there was talk about 2,200, 2,300 documents that they needed to review, they needed to redact. And that was sort of used as a reason for them needing time. However, you end up getting 400. And so you think, well, what about the other 18 or 1,900? Is that fair as to why you think you didn't get everything?
I hadn't considered that, but that's really sharp by you. And yeah, absolutely. They used it as an excuse to delay this thing, drag their feet, and then I didn't get 2,200 documents. Right, exactly. That's how they are. Yeah, that's what I have to deal with. So if you're going to use that excuse, then you better deliver, I would think. Certainly they did not. And of course, the redaction situation wasn't complied with on an individual redaction basis, just with this blanket, like one thing fits it all. How could that be, you know?
And am I right that one of the reasons that they gave to you is this, it's a 3-word description, the rule of reason. They cited this rule of reason with you. Is that correct?
I don't know what that is. I apologize. What does that mean, rule of reason? Never heard of it.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. I just wondered if I had seen that in this file. Okay, I have no further questions. Member Stein.
Yeah, this is for the petitioner, of course. I don't recall seeing in the packet that a message to you that indicates why there were redactions. Is that in the packet? And can you point me to it?
It's there a couple places. The last place is January 26, 2026 on the timeline. Dear requester, we have released all responsive documents to this request via next request. Personal information included in responsive documents, but not subject to disclosure under SF Admin Code Section 6724C was redacted. We now consider this request closed.
Oh, and then they also mentioned privacy issues.
I don't see that anything else but that at that date. There's one at the beginning, I think in February of 2025, when they did their first document release that says something similar to that. Let's see. Okay, here it is. February 3rd, 2025. So almost 11 months prior to what I just read you. Mm-hmm. It says there's 2. Personal information, and the second reason, private information.
Right. Okay, I did see that. I wasn't sure if that's what you were referring to. Okay. Thank you. That was my question.
All right. Member Kumar.
So this is for the petitioner, because I don't think the Department of Homelessness is here. Okay. So I would like to know, the email that you got on February 3rd, from, I think, Mr. Tavares said that they were reviewing the records, and when they asked you to narrow the scope of your request, did they give you like a timeline for like, can you get back to us by this date by narrowing a request?
Okay, let me look. Don't recall.
if you can direct me to that part, that'd be great. That's my first question. Number two is, it seems like the person who was getting in touch with you was a different person, if I'm not mistaken. Like initially it was Devaris and then it changed. Can you tell me like whether one person who was handling your case continued to handle it over the course of the past 1 year, or did hands change multiple times? And like when they changed, were you informed like, okay, this new person is handling the case, and like just trying to understand what the department was doing internally since they are not here?
Yes, that's really good. Thank you for mentioning that. No, it was passed around, and this is why they're supposed to tell you who's working on it, just not just put staff. So no, Devaris dropped this and somebody else picked it up. I think it was Dylan Schneider picked it up at one point that I was aware of. But the people that are making these notes to me in the timeline, most of them just say staff. So they're anonymous. I'm not, right? I have the right to be anonymous, but I think they have to disclose themselves, right? But that they didn't. So no, this thing passed through at least two hands that I'm aware of, but who knows who did these notes to me.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. And yeah, if you can direct me to the part in the packet that says, to the part that talks about the first email from Devaris on the specific time frame that they're asking for, that would be helpful.
Okay, yeah, that's what you first said. So I'm reading from February 3rd, 2025. This one is noted as being by Devaris. If you would like to narrow the scope of your request, such as focusing on a specific time frame or VTC related records, I am open to that modification. Well, this kind of he's trying to like, let's say, so my response to that was, thank you. Sure, narrowing it down to VTC related is fine. So initially, I was being working with him, give him less, to do. But because they started dragging their feet and not doing anything, I rescinded that. And that's also in here where I said, no more of this nonsense. I want everything I asked for initially, because 9 files is all that they sent over to me. So they said they had 2,200 and they gave me 9 files. And I was like, whoa, okay, well, no, I don't want to narrow it down to 9 files of 2,000. 9? No, I know there's a lot more than that. And of course there was. So again, just to recap, I said, okay, we'll narrow it down. And then he gives me 9 files. I said, no way. We're going back to the full complement of files. And that's documented in here.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, we can still ask questions, but let's transition to the deliberation period. Members, what shall we do with this case? Yes, Member Stein.
My current thinking, but I am happy to hear alternate thinking, is that we forward it to the I think the consent calendar, with a recommendation to find 6721B violation for failing to comply completely with the request, and a 6726 violation for not keying justifications to specific redactions, and order that any remaining documents be produced.
I second that.
And I third. That's what I was going to recommend as well, as consent.
That wasn't technically a motion, it was just my thinking, but I can make it a motion.
Okay, well, let's see, actually since it wasn't technically a motion, then we still can do a public comment first, and then we'll turn it into a motion.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on item 4, if you're in the room, please approach the podium. If you're online, raise your hand in the app by pressing *3. We have no one approaching the podium. 1 hand raised. Hello, caller. Do you wish to make public comment on item 4? Apologies, caller. You are now unmuted. Do you wish to make public comment on item 4?
Yes, I'll be brief. I just wanted to share that I had
Just a
another
moment,
case.
please. Just a moment, please. Timing, please.
3 minutes.
Caller, your 3 minutes begins now.
Sounds good. I had a different case before you all at the full task force maybe a week or two ago, and HSH also did not show up at all. So I think my only comment is to let you know that this appears to be a pattern where they've stopped attending sunshine meetings. And I don't know if I heard, I think that is a 6721E violation as well, but that case is in, compliance now, and they also are still not responding. So I would just add the additional context that HSH appears to be ignoring the sunshine process, including this task force itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you wish to identify
Thank
yourself?
you.
Caller, do you care to identify yourself? You do not have to. You are
No.
now unmuted. Sorry about that.
No, thank you.
Noted. Thank you. We have no one else in the queue.
All right. Do we have a motion? Member Stein.
So I'll just say I did consider 6721E, but I think that should be reserved. Well, I normally reserve that for the full task force meetings where they really are required to come. I don't know if they're required to be here in the same way. I don't know if anyone has thoughts about that, but so I didn't put that in there originally. But I'm realizing too, if it goes to the consent calendar, they don't have to ever show up either and say anything. But
Was the last case consent as well? I don't think so. No, he said it was at the full task force.
no, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah. But anyway, I think I'm going to keep this motion because I think that generally applies to like the full task force hearing. So I move, this is Member Stein, I move that these are public records under our jurisdiction and that we forward this case to the to the consent calendar of the full task force with a recommendation to find a 67.21B violation for failing to comply completely with the records request, and a 67.26 violation for not keying justifications to specific reductions. And that we would like the task force to order that any remaining documents be produced and send this case to committee to monitor compliance.
Second? I'm not seconding. I'm wondering if there's a second.
Yeah, happy to second it.
Sir.
And I want to ask, is there anything else that you think that you want to or that we should add for Member Wolf? I don't know how else to put that.
Yeah, no.
Member Kumar, we've been trying to add slightly longer explanations just in case,
So-
because when they're on consent calendar, one member in particular wants to know our justification for why we reached that conclusion.
Yeah. I think in this case, it's clear that there are records outstanding. I can't really, I think I'm going to leave it as is. Let's see if it gets pulled.
Okay, let's vote.
Taking the vote on item 4, Vice Chair Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. Member Kumar.
Aye.
Member Kumar, aye. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Chair Schmidt.
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. 4 ayes. Motion passes.
Okay. Thank you to the petitioner.
Thank you very much to the committee and Ms. Peterson.
Thank you. Item 5, file number 26036. Complaint filed by Grant Review against the Department of Public Health for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.25, by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely and/or complete manner. Promoting petitioner to panelist. One moment, please. I see individuals from DPH. Promoting Ms. Natalie Pojman from DPH to panelist. Is there anyone else from DPH who is a caller? Please raise your hand in the app or press *3. Parties are present.
All right. I just want to note that this is, I'll call this the 2026 matter, and there was a 2025 matter, and they're intertwined. And so we'll need to figure out what we are considering today and what we're not considering as we go along. With that stated, I think we can go ahead and hear first from petitioner. Did you have a comment, members? No. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Petitioner, are you ready for your 3 minutes to begin?
Yes.
Your time begins now.
Yes, good evening, committee members. This complaint, as you pointed out, was originally filed on November 30th of last year. This is the first time that you all are hearing this. In your packet, I would orient you to page 30, which is where the most recent screenshots of the next request are. If you look at the first set, they're outdated, but page 30 is where the updated are. The request was for DPH's policy on facility monitoring, which is required pursuant to a controller's policy. If we get into questions in the controller's policy, that is also referenced on page 36. So while the Department of Public Health did produce some initial documents, they produced 6 documents, 4 of which were from many years ago, 2019, which included a flow chart, which kind of created questions. You will note in the next request timeline that the next request item remains open and unfulfilled. On February 4th, Mr. Lim from DPH provided a partial response that successfully satisfied item 1. So DPH and I agree that of the 2 items, item 1 was successfully satisfied and responded to. In that exact same message on February 4th, you will see that they say themselves, please note we are still working actively with staff regarding number 2 of your scope. And this is the last that we heard from them. So that is why the request is still open. On that point, at some point, we might want to talk about an assertion that DPH has made in their response to the committee. That was on page 19 of the PDF, where DPH says, please note that SFDPH is not obligated to answer any interrogatories. So my questions were for item number 2. Are any of these documents the current policy or not, which is a request for assistance? I disagree under the request, the necessity to assist, that DPH does not need to respond to any interrogatories. On February 16th, you'll see I followed up asking for clarification. They never responded. And so then I followed up again, indicating that I was filing a complaint with Sunshine. At the end of their response, you will also see they've admitted SFDPH acknowledges we could have provided a more timely and complete response. And I would say so because they never responded to me, which is why we're here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's for up to 3 minutes, let's hear from the DPH personnel.
Ms. Pojman, are you ready for your 3 minutes?
Yes, I am.
Your time begins now.
Hi, Natalie Pojman with the San Francisco Department of Public Health. And I'll note that I know usually Mr. Victor Lim is usually at these meetings. He had a family emergency and is unable to join. So we wanted to join on behalf of the department, and I'll do my best to address some of these questions. But as the requester noted, there's been some back and forth here. The San Francisco Department of Public Health denies the allegations in reference to file number 26036 that SFDPH violated the Administrative Code section 67.25 by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request. As the requester also noted, DPH acknowledges that the department could have provided a more timely and complete response to the overall scope of the public records requests. DPH has no further records responsive to disclose and has provided a considerable amount of follow-up assistance to the extent possible to best answer the scope of the request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I apologize for mispronouncing your name.
Oh, no worries. It happens all the time. No worries.
All right, members, questions? Yes, members, time.
I just have a couple of questions for the respondent. I don't know if you can answer it because it's kind of based on Victor Lim's response. This statement that was in the response that you could have responded in a more timely and complete way to the overall scope of the request, I'm wondering if you could elaborate on that.
I unfortunately cannot. I apologize. I cannot.
Okay, and then the response letter that we got seems to imply that all responsive documents have been given. In other words, there is no policy document post 2019 that would align with the controller's 2024 citywide nonprofit monitoring and capacity building policies. Is that the case?
To the best of my knowledge, yes. And yeah, to the best of my knowledge, yes. But I can check back again with the team as well.
Okay, those are my only questions.
All right. Okay, Member Sugarman.
I just have one for either party, just to confirm the request is still open.
Correct. The request is still open, and that is because you'll see on February 4th, they said we are still searching for documents for number 2. So DPH's answer today that we have no responsive documents is in fact something that never made it to the next request. It was never closed and that answer never came.
Thank you. That's why I have my question. Thank you.
I have a technical question for DPH. This is Member Kumar here. This is just from my understanding. Can you please help me out with this? The part where you say corrective action policy, you say that the department uses to classify and remedy contractor performance deficiencies. I don't know what this means. Can you help me out with this, please?
I will need to check with our team. I'll need to check back with our team.
All right. Do you at least know why you chose to do this, like use this classification?
I will need to check with our team.
This is just for the chair. Chair Schmidt, I feel that if we don't have the answers we need from the department, we won't be able to proceed. We won't be able to get anything satisfactory from this questioning.
Thank you.
I might be able to help with that. If the answer from DPH is that there are no documents, I'm satisfied with that today. I did not get that answer last year or in February. And so I wouldn't necessarily request that this case go to a compliance committee. I'm willing to concede the answer and it does not need to go to compliance. But I do believe that there are still violations here with failure to assist and failure to respond in a timely manner or in a complete manner by their own admissions, which would be my request.
I would encourage that Member Sugarman for our other members that considering that response, that I would encourage that for consent as well. If they're not looking for additional documents, that we can consider the violations that are currently in front of us.
Okay, thank you. Member Stein.
Yeah, my only concern with that is that the respondent believes that there are no more documents, but wasn't sure and was going to check with other people. So I feel like it's kind of left hanging.
That's not what they said, though, right? During their initial statement, they said there are no other documents.
My only
Yeah,
concern.
Go ahead, please.
That's right. To the best of our knowledge as a department, there are no further documents.
Okay, then I'm corrected.
So two things. One is, even though they're saying there's no documents, there's no emails or no formal acknowledgement for the petitioner. And the second thing is, we need to know what this corrective action policy is. Like, I'm just concerned that if we don't debate it in the Sunshine Task Force, other departments might use this to get away with things, if you know what I mean. I mean, I don't even know what it is. Like, the person they sent to the meeting doesn't even know what this is.
Yeah, I point well taken. I don't know if that goes into how we decide this today, but we will consider our options in deliberation.
But respectfully, if I could just ask that it not go to the full task force, I have been in front of this committee and the task force so many times because of simple requests from DPH. I really don't wish to pursue this further because they have wasted so much of my time. Like, I don't even want to be here tonight just to get an answer that no further documents exist, which was denied to me in February. I am at my wit's end with their obstructionism. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have a question for you. There actually is a prior order that the task force rendered, and I am trying to sort of parse how this fits within the context of that order, because it seems like we've already ordered certain aspects of what you're looking for in your February 16 message. I believe that's really the basis for the matter that we're hearing here today. We have a sort of a separate case that was opened, but it seems like today what we're considering is it's not number one, but number two listed in your February 16 request. And you said, I believe it's, you conclude your work and provide one of the following: the updated post-2024 DPH corrective action policy, or B, a formal written statement confirming that DPH has not updated its policies. So is that fair to say that that's really what we would consider here today that was not already dealt with in the prior order?
Sure. Yes. Great question. So the other case that you're remembering, the best way I can simplify the difference is that the closed case that was not from today is specific facilities. So what facilities exist, what are their contracts, and what corrective actions have you taken against them? This one is different, that it is not specific to any facility. It is simply departmental-wide policy. So regardless of the facility, what is your policy on monitoring and what is your policy on when to issue actions? So they are separate for that reason. I think also to answer your question, I really would point you to page 19 in the packet. You know, they put in bold right above that number 8, DPH is not obligated to answer any interrogatories or questions. You know, my question is a request for assistance. It is not, you know, have you ever? It is which document is responsive to this question. And so I would just again strongly object to DPH, who has repeatedly, this is the second meeting that they have said we don't answer questions ever, which is sort of saying we don't assist. And I don't think that's allowed.
All right. Now, you've asked for a finding of a violation, I believe, of 6725, the IDR provision of the ordinance. I wonder if you ever submitted, I'm not seeing any kind of submission that's labeled as an IDR. Am I missing something?
When I initially filed this request, I believed it was IDR because it is simply the departmental policy, which should be readily available. DPH contests that and believes that this is a complex request. And frankly, it went on for months, not 3 days. So at this point, I'm kind of, it is of no consequence to me today that they didn't get back to me within a day. So I'm sort of not I don't want to waste your time on it, but yes, originally I wanted it to be IDR. I think the more obvious, violations here are that they never actually completed the response and they refused to assist.
In your February 16 submission to them, you heard nothing in response to that. I think that's pretty clear, but can you confirm that?
Tonight's statements were the first time I've heard them since their message on February 4th.
Okay, thank you. No more questions from me. Okay, members, what would you propose that we do with this, considering everything we've heard and seen?
Can I just ask a clarification? Have we already, did we have any separate cases where this November 30th, 2025 IDR was, we did? So
Yeah.
we're really just focusing here on February 16th, 2026 follow-up request.
That is my understanding. And that I kind of went back because the first time I read through here, I was looking at this and I recognized it. And I thought, what's new here? We've already considered the fact that basically, they didn't have certain documents, but they had other documents. It seems to me that a reasonable reading here is that this is limited to that provision of the February 16 request. Member Sugarman, you had something to say.
I just wanted to say, notwithstanding our decision, that I appreciate the petitioner's request that we close this in the sense that we do our best to assist the matter at hand. And I wanted to say, but to our members in the consideration process, that I wanted, and I also wanted to ask, like, if for example, we did push this, if there was a part of this that we pushed the full board, is it possible to do it without the petitioner having to appear? Member Stein is shaking her head.
Well, if we did put it on the consent calendar.
Right, but if we didn't, though, yes, they would still have to appear.
Well, the rules as they exist now, the petitioner is required to appear.
I'm inclined to push it to consent because I think that there are violations, but also if there's something that we need to have considered further, then we can't just ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
I had so I just wanted to know, it's my first time on complaints, so I just wanted to know, is it possible? Third time, actually, yeah. First formal appearance and before 2 guest appearances before. So even though it's my third time, I am actually curious to know, is it possible to bring this up in the complaint calendar again? Because I feel that unless we hear from Mr. Lim, we won't be able to, go forward, because I'm reading from one of the emails Mr. Lim sent to Mr. Grant. That actually talks about him not being able to do some work because there was a broken link and he couldn't access some information. He also shared his work cell number to, process it faster. So just wanted to understand, I want to hear from him directly on what might have led to, this discrepancy. So yeah, I'm just wondering if we can maybe have him, and then we can do this again.
I'm going to just say something in response to that. I believe that everything you said is reasonable. I think that one thing that I think we've established in this committee is that we try to handle things without continuances. And I'm not saying never, not never. For purposes of the members, for purposes of the parties, since we don't make any final decisions, I think that if we were missing something, maybe we could, another way of doing what you're saying is that we could ask in any kind of resolution that we make that's those specific pieces of information be brought to the full task force and be submitted. So that's sort of a different way of dealing with that. But I think we definitely try, and I know some of the other committees may have things come back to them more than we do here. I saw a hand. Member Sugarman?
Yeah, but Member Stein can go first.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not so much a response to that, although I personally feel like we have what we need here to make a determination. And I think there's really only two determinations in question. One is whether there's a 6721B violation for failure to respond in a timely manner, which I think there is, because there's a follow-up question and the petitioner needs to be told either very definitively that no additional documents exist, or be given whatever document does exist, right? I actually don't believe that and I think it's like well, yes, I think that has to happen. And then there's this issue of failure to assist. Personally, I think that's a lot murkier because, they provided a document in response to a request. It was labeled as a 2019 draft. They were then asked to either provide a newer document, which apparently none exists, or to make an official statement that none exists, which I don't believe they're required to do. So I think the fact that they didn't have anything additional to provide, they should have said, but I don't think it actually rises to a failure to assist. They did give all the documents that they had. They just didn't give a complete, a final answer.
Yeah.
That was where I was stuck too. My question was more generalized, which was whether the failure to assist was potentially an ongoing compliance issue that should be addressed by the board.
I'm going to say that I generally in agreement with what everyone has said. I am reading the one paragraph that I think this is about is they were asked, the DPH was asked for either a document or a formal written statement. Now, I think I agree that the request for a formal written statement, that's not something that we can compel. And I don't think that my reading is that would not be included in request for assistance. I don't think to me, there's a difference between a general request for assistance and a more specific request for assistance finding documents. And so that's where I think the line is for me. On the other hand, if there's a request here for the post 2024 DPH corrective action policy, then, well, that's a request for a document, and technically, maybe there was no response to that request, and so we could find a violation there. Now, I want to add a further twist to this, and then I'm done, which is that I think that this February 16 request really kind of should not necessarily have reopened and caused a new case, because this, in a way, it's following up with the prior order. And I believe that the respondent would reasonably have read this as being a follow-up to the prior order. And so there was no, for that reason, there may not have been an obligation to submit a separate response as if this were a new request. And so I'm not sure if I see that, there may have been a situation here where there was something done wrong, which is, they should have told them there's no updated post 2024 DPH corrective action policy. But I don't know if we can hold them in violation, because they would reasonably have read this as being, he's still trying to find what was revealed or what was ordered that we produce. And we're, either we're working on it or we're not working on it, but it would be a violation of the prior order if they didn't produce it. So that's to not necessarily simplify, but to make more complicated the whole situation. Yes, Member Sugarman.
Okay, so I realize this is repetitive, but what you're saying is they went out, they gave the information as requested originally. Therefore, the request on February 16th does not necessitate an appropriate response, is kind of what I've heard under sunshine rules.
I think that well, the part B, the option of a formal written statement,
Because it's not a new request, is what
my
you're saying.
yeah. Part B is an interrogatory. Part A, I think it's not necessarily a new request, because it sort of was the same document that was requested in the original request, and we already made an order on that. And so I just don't know if we can do anything here. Maybe we just dismiss this. I don't know if that's what grant review wants, but I just don't necessarily see that we need to do anything, because we already did it.
Okay.
If I could jump in, this request should stand independently of any other requests, and the items in this request were never requested in any other request. So
Okay.
the point I was making is that they are totally different requests with zero overlap for materials. And this particular request, this next request, 9741, has never come before the Sunshine Task Force committee or otherwise. So I would ask that the entirety of this next request be evaluated today on its own merits.
So
Okay. Thank you.
I was going to side with the petitioner anyway on that, in the sense that even if it were for some reason, I'm against, in my opinion, if it was a request that was somehow grouped into the same next request. To me, a request is a request. It doesn't matter that it happened in a formal manner. If I had sent, in my time on the task force, I've only been slowly becoming aware of like specifically the policy around next requests. In my estimation coming into it, if I had walked up to a department or given them a phone call or sent them an email saying I want something and it wasn't a next request, to me, that still constitutes a request for public information.
Yes, Member Smith.
The other thing that I find problematic about it is that the request was not closed. So it was just kind of, it wasn't really answered in a definitive way, that we don't have this, document. I mean, it could be implied that the original search would have found this document if it existed, if there was something after the 2019 draft. It sort of could be implied, but I feel like it would have been a much stronger case for the respondent had they said, we're sorry, we've given you all documents we already have, case closed, request closed. But they didn't do that. They just kind of left it hanging there, sort of seeming like they were going to follow up on something, and then they never did. So for that reason, I think it's more likely a 6721B violation.
Okay. I'm pretty open on this one. I think there's shadings as to how we read this. It seems, yeah, that sounds fine. Maybe that's the core of what we do here is we send it on that question. And it would be just a question of whether we put it on consent.
I could make a motion, but I think we have to take public comment.
Yeah. Okay. So we then basically stop what is deliberation and call for public comment on this before we make any kind of motions.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on item 5, please approach the podium if you're in the room. If you're online, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. You have one hand raised. Hello, caller. Do you have public comment on item 5?
Yes, I do.
Your time begins now. 3 minutes.
My understanding is the Department of Public Health is the largest department by dollar amount that it uses. So this is a pretty relevant thing for the city, considering, as I mentioned last time I was in the comment last month in April, that the feds are coming and you guys are doing the right thing at this board. Here it is, of course, it's already been announced, but it's relevant here. The Fraud Division launches West Coast Strike Force to target healthcare fraud schemes across Arizona, Nevada, and Northern California. So finally, it's been announced. I'm sensing from her response today, and Lynn would have done a similar sort of thing, a very legalistic sort of reply. So it tells me that they're on guard. And the thing is, they can lie to me or you or anybody else. It's not a crime. But if they lie to a federal agent, that is a federal crime. And so they're trying to get their ducks in order. So I appreciate the fact this is also a nonprofit oversight request having to do with that, which is really, again, narrowing down the focus. So I applaud the grant review for trying to get these documents and whatever success he might have had, but he's going after the right stuff in general terms. Largest department, there's probably some fraud there. It never had any light shined on it. Those days are over. And I'm looking forward to a new day arising when we have some transparency that is forced by the federal government, even if they have to go down to the offices and raid them and get the files, whether they're on digital or paper format, from these people that are holding them back, in my view. So again, it's all about the documents, whether it's the UFO files that are coming out now and these just accumulated over time documents, a course of public business. That's where all of the answers are. And so you guys are, like I said, in the right spot at the right time, doing the right work. And these agencies, they're little fiefdoms. They're all trying to hide stuff. And little techniques and methods to play games and so forth. When the feds come, if they try that with them, they will not be successful. That's what I'm predicting. So again, thank you very much for hearing me. And again, you guys are doing the citizens' work. Transparency in government shall be the law of the land. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Caller, do you wish to identify yourself?
I'm not hiding from anyone. Aaron Wilson.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have no other callers in the queue. No one at the podium.
And we may want to decide if we want to have a motion here. Member Stein.
I will make a motion that these are public documents under our jurisdiction and that we send this case to the consent calendar with a recommendation to find a 6721B violation for failure to respond in a timely manner. And add that a follow-up request for additional documents or a statement that none existed received no response, and the request was not officially closed. Petitioner and respondent agree that no further documents exist. And this concerns only the February 16th, 2026 follow-up request, not a previous IDR.
Member
Okay.
Peterson's still typing, but I second.
All right.
Seconded by Member Shaw. On that matter, taking the vote. Vice Chair Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar.
Aye.
Member Kumar, aye. Chair Schmidt.
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. 4 ayes, motion passes.
Okay. I think we've resolved that, and wonderful to hear that the federal government is coming to our rescue. We can move to the next item.
Thank you, committee members.
Thank you. Thank you, committee members. Take care.
Thank you.
Item number 6, file number 26041. Complaint filed by Anne Marie against the Fine Arts Museum's Board of Trustees for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, sections 67.21 and 67.25 by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely and/or complete manner. We have a respondent present, promoting to panelist. Ms. Mabott, if you are present, kindly raise your hand in the app or press *3. I want to remind the members of the online community that we are not using the chat function. If you wish to be recognized, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. Petitioner is not present. Respondent, Mr. Jason Stiefer is present.
Okay, I'm going to, this one actually came up before, and we let it pass. But at this point, I think that I'm going to make a motion that we close the file.
Pursuant to section C7B of the complaint procedures.
Sounds good.
I have
Oh, yeah.
I have one question. As we did earlier tonight, there are instances where when the respondent isn't present, we still let the petitioner present their case, which makes sense. But my question is, should we ask the respondent if they want to make a statement before we close it?
Well,
I mean, it's going to be closed, but they still may have prepared something they want to say.
I think that if they made us, I think if they made a statement now, it would sort of get lost. And it really, if we were to close it, then the statement, maybe it could be considered, if you wish
No,
to have them make a
I'm just
statement.
asking.
Yeah, I'd say in maybe a different case, sure.
Okay.
But I don't know if I see necessarily a need to do it, because the case, unless she somehow tries to reopen it, Anne Marie, the case is closed, and there's no violation finding. So the respondent's not on the hook for anything at this point.
Okay.
Okay, but it's a good question. Okay, that's the motion I made, and do I have a second to close?
Taking public.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on item 6? If you're in the room, approach the podium, please. If you're online, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no one in the queue. Taking the vote on.
I'm going to move that we
Second.
close the matter. Member Sugarman, second.
Moved by Chair Schmidt, seconded by Member Chair Schmidt, seconded by Member Sugarman to close the matter pursuant to Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Complaint Procedure C7B. Taking the vote on item 6, Chair Schmidt.
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar.
Aye.
Member Kumar, aye. Vice Chair Stein. Vice Chair Stein, aye. 4 ayes, motion passes. Item 7, file number 26059. Complaint filed by Gabriel Greschler against the Office of the Mayor for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.21, by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and/or complete manner. Mr. Greschler is at the podium promoting Mr. Darmali from the mayor's office.
Okay, so we will start out by hearing from the complainant side for up to 3 minutes when the timer is ready.
And a belated thank you to Mr. C for changing your role to panelist, but attendee. Mr. Greschler, you will have 3 minutes. There'll be a soft tone when 30 seconds remain. Are you ready?
Yes.
Your time begins now.
Chair Schmidt, task force members, thank you for your time. My name is Gabriel Greschler, and I'm a reporter at the San Francisco Standard. The question before you is narrow. Did the mayor's office respond completely to public records requests for text messages between Mayor Daniel Lurie and Pacific Gas and Electric Vice President Jake Ziegelman during the December 2025 blackouts? I want to be clear about why this matters. The December 2025 blackouts left tens of thousands of San Franciscans without power for days. PG&E's own CEO later told the Board of Supervisors in public testimony that the mayor personally directed the utility to prioritize restoring power to the War Memorial Opera House over residential neighborhoods that were still in the dark, the same day the mayor's daughter was performing at the opera. That testimony was later retracted after our news outlet wrote a story about the remarks. The text messages at issue here are the contemporaneous record of what actually happened between the mayor and the utility while the city sat without power. The public has a right to see that record. Regarding the evidence, the mayor's office produced an iMessage in which PG&E's Mr. Ziegelman sends the mayor what he calls an Opera House update on December 21st. Look at that image. There are partially visible messages above and below, grayed out, but plainly part of the same thread. The word update itself is documentary proof of prior correspondence because you cannot update someone on something you have not previously discussed. In subsequent records requests seeking this fuller, more complete correspondence, those messages have never been produced. In addition to requesting all messages from December 21st that were on this iMessage, based on this thread you see, we have also asked for text messages from December 20th, the day the blackout first began. It's hard to believe that the mayor and a vice president at PG&E were not in conversation on this date too, when one of the largest blackouts in decades hit San Francisco.
30 seconds.
The only substantive explanation we have received comes in the form of the formal response to our complaint before this body. The mayor has provided the standard with all documents in its possession. If that is true, then that raises the other concerning question of why text communications during the blackout between the mayor and PG&E were not retained. The mayor's office is claiming we want to, quote, promote a false narrative. So I say this. Let's get these records released and clear up whatever truth arises. Thank you.
That concludes your time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's hear from the other side on this.
Mr. Damrali, are you ready for your 3 minutes?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, and your time begins now.
Good evening. I am Dexter Damrali from the mayor's office. As always, I want to start by thanking the members of the task force and the committee staff for your work and dedication to our city. This complaint involves 3 sunshine requests, all of which were fully responded to and are now closed. Mrs. Cagle's January 8th request was closed on January 20th. Mr. Greichler's January 23rd request was closed on February 18th, and his March 6th request was closed on March 19th. The mayor's office kindly asks that the complaint committee dismisses the complaint. This complaint alleges that the mayor's office improperly withheld text messages between Mayor Lurie and PG&E's Jack Siegelman. Mr. Greichler is using both the complaint and the task force to promote a false narrative that Mayor Lurie asked PG&E to prioritize restoring power to the War Memorial Opera House over residential neighborhoods. That claim is unsupported by the facts. The standard has reviewed all responsive documents at issue and has not produced any evidence contradicting this department's position. Mr. Greichler also claims that the standard has not received all responsive documents, but that claim is incorrect. The mayor's office has provided the standard with all documents in its possession and resent those materials in response to the 3rd request, which was closed on March 19th. As a result, any documents responsive to Mrs. Cagle's or Mr. Greichler's request has been in the standard's possession. The Office of the Mayor has acted in good faith in responding to the standard's 3 requests, including by continuing to work with Mr. Greichler and Mrs. Cagle after the requests have been closed. Even after receiving Davis Wright Tramine LLP's letter threatening litigation, the Office of the Mayor continued engaging with the standard to answer questions and fulfill its obligations under the Sunshine Ordinance. Thank you to the task force members for your time and consideration of this matter.
Thank you. All right, members, questions? Member Stein.
Okay, so I have a question for the petitioner and the respondent. For the petitioner, are there any other examples besides the text message that you showed us that for you indicates missing documents?
I would say, no, this is our only example that there are missing documents. However, I want to bring up one other point that might convey that there are some missing documents. In our original request that Susie Cagle made, there were a number of records that were produced from that, including this one here that I was showing you. In subsequent records requests that I have made, the mayor's office has somehow found additional records that they didn't provide in that original request, even though that original request would have unearthed those records. So I think that there's a pattern here of not providing records out there that do exist.
Okay. And then a question for the respondent. I'm wondering, so I'm looking at the same text that the petitioner had on their board on page 34 of our packet. And And I'm wondering if you can explain this message, why it appears to reference an update, and also, why there is no indicator of what date this message was sent. Do you know what date it was sent?
So let me just look at the document itself, since I want to make sure I'm looking at the same page as you are.
Yeah, page 34.
So this would fall within the time range that was of the original request. But in terms of, so let me see. So it would have been between December 20th and the date of the request, which was
Yeah.
January 8th.
I'm just asking because usually when you look at messages, any cluster of messages will start with a date on which that cluster of messages was sent. But here we don't have a date. The petitioner believes it was within the time frame. You believe it was within the time frame, but it does appear to reference something that's already been discussed, and we don't have any messages coming before it that would start with the date, around which this records request was framed.
So we reviewed all documents within that time range, and we have produced all documents that are responsive during that time range.
Okay, those are all my questions.
Question of the mayor's office. That update message is, am I understanding you don't know what date that was sent?
I cannot confidently say the exact date and time, but I can tell you that it is in the range of the sunshine request range of dates that were asked.
Okay. And whenever that was sent, whether it was the 21st, the 22nd, 23rd, the 28th, for example, isn't it correct that you produced no written documents that are in the possession of your office dated prior to that?
There was an entire packet of documents that were produced that included many emails. And I'm more than willing to go through those documents with you now, if you would like to know each page.
So in terms of the texts as opposed to the emails, and I think that's the two categories we're dealing with here. In terms of the texts, is it true that's the first in terms of sequence text that is available to produce?
For this request, that is correct, that this document, that we have produced all responsive documents for this request that we received at the time we received it.
Okay. And could it have been that update document was dated the 19th?
It would be irresponsible for me to guess the date.
To guess.
So I cannot give you a firm answer.
Okay. I'm going to switch to the petitioner. As far as you know, you got no messages or texts other than emails from the 19th or the 20th, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you may or may not have gotten messages from the 21st. If you did, the first one you would have gotten was this update.
Yeah, and I have a lot of confidence that this text message is from the 21st of December for a
Okay.
number of reasons. One being that they are referring to an incident that other public information has shown us occurred on December 21st. We also published this text message in a story and received no pushback or correction from the mayor's office when we said it was from the 21st, which is in our reporting.
Okay. And let's see. Do you have any reason to believe that there couldn't have been non-written communications before this update communication?
I think it is possible that some of the communication could have happened over the phone, over email, those types of things. However, I think from the image that I'm showing, two things stand out. One, you can see that there's messages that have happened prior to this conversation. And Commissioner Stein had a good point that she raised, that when you are looking at iMessage messages, they are time-stamped in a certain way that is clustered. And so from this specific cluster here, we can see that they're actually only showing a portion of a cluster of messages, because if you would have scrolled up from those, you would see a timestamp. We don't see a timestamp here.
Yeah.
So that's what leads me to believe that there is almost certainly other messages here that we are not receiving.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Member Kumar.
Mr. Greshler,
Yeah.
I wanted to know two things. One is, could you get a confirmation from the Opera House about whether that incident happened? Like, could you confirm from the Opera House about the text, like they did get it on the specific date? That's my first question. And the second is, did you try confirming from attendees? Because I'm trying to understand, like, why is it important to get the information from the horse's mouth? Like, you could have found other avenues, right? I'm just trying to understand that.
Just wanted to clarify your question. Finding other avenues for what specifically?
For the say I was attending the event on the 21st of December, for which the lights went out, and then they had like emergency. Like, did you confirm from any attendee whether that happened? Could you confirm from the Opera people? I know they don't really respond. I've tried working with them in the past, but did you try to get that information through Opera?
Yeah, during the course of our reporting, we reached out to all parties involved, including the Opera, and they had, I don't have their explanation before me of what occurred that day. It's in our reporting. But yes, we did reach out to the Opera during the course of our reporting.
But not the attendees, right? The people who were there attending the Opera that day.
I believe I did not reach out to any attendees occurring that day. It just wasn't really in the scope of our reporting. We were more trying to look at how the city had responded to the blackout itself.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Member Sugarman.
This is a really small point, but we're talking about the War Memorial Opera House, not the opera, right? From what I recall, the mayor's daughter is in the ballet.
Yeah, so there was a ballet performance happening at the War Memorial Opera House.
I only have two other questions. Just out of curiosity, one of the messages says it was edited. Did you ever receive the original message?
Say that one more time for me, sir.
One of the messages says it was edited. Did you ever receive the original message? I thought.
No.
Okay. And I don't know if it's been covered. I apologize if I missed it. I realized there were multiple requests, but was there anything that predated December 19th?
Yeah, I can explain sort of the time frame of that. The reason why I included the 19th was just to make sure that I was encapsulating everything, even though events started on the 20th.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
If it were me, I would have gone earlier is my question. Did you go, at any point, did you go earlier to see if there were any other communications?
No,
Okay,
I did not.
those are my questions.
What was the date and time of the ballet to your best understanding?
Yeah, I don't recall exactly what the time was, so I wouldn't want to say an incorrect time, though I want to say it was either around 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., I want to say, in that time frame.
On which date?
So it was December 21st.
21st. Okay, thank you. Yes, Member Kumar.
This is a question for the mayor's office. So, you said on February 20th that there was a diligent search, but diligent and reasonable search, and there are no outstanding documents. So when you heard back from, I'm guessing the lawyer, saying that there are documents that have been improperly withheld, did you get back to them? Did you get back to them ever saying that we have like the same thing, like there are no documents? Because right now the communication seems as though you previously said, but you're backtracking on that. Like, are you still standing by the statement that there are no documents?
We have produced all responsive documents for all 3 of these sunshine requests.
But on March 9th, you acknowledged the request from Mr. Greshler when he filed a new sunshine request on March 6th, and you said you will respond within 10 days of receipt. Why did you just not get back to him saying that we acknowledge the receipt, but there are no documents?
Well, it is, with every sunshine request, I believe it's our duty to conduct a search and ensure that everything has been accounted for. And it's only right to afford every sunshine request that we receive the same amount of time and consideration, even if it's thought to believe all documents have been produced.
But on March 19th, you did give him some documents, right? So that basically means when you previously said on February 18th, whatever, sometime in February, that the case is closed, we don't have any files, that means you were lying?
Can you please say the question again?
I'm saying in February, you said you closed the request saying that there are no documents. But on March 19th, you did get back to him with more documents. That means you had documents, right? Then why did you say in February that you don't have anything when you produced something in March?
The standard has had all documents that are responsive to these requests. And with each request we receive, even if they are connected and from the same person, we still want to confirm that all documents that are responsive in our possession are being responsibly produced.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. What shall we do? We can conclude the question and answer. Certainly there may be more questions, but we should also go ahead and go forward and deliberate on this.
I'm ready to deliberate.
Yes, let's go ahead. Yes, Member Stein.
No, go
I don't
ahead.
know if you were.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm leaning towards sending this to the full task force to consider whether there are outstanding documents. And the most compelling case for that in my mind is that, we see part of we see a message that almost certainly had messages before it, had a date stamp before it, and we don't have that. If we had a date stamp and then messages that were blacked out for some reason, and we knew what the reason was and reasons for redaction were given, that would be a lot better than just having a page where you can tell there's material before it and we don't have it. So for that reason, I feel like there's probably outstanding documents and we should let the full task force determine.
So we would, you're saying leave it to the task force to decide whether it believes that what we have indicates that we don't have everything. Okay. Yes, Member Sugarman.
I just want to say that I, on the record, sort of unfortunately agree with Member Stein. And I say unfortunate because I can't remember being on this task force and getting text messages from the mayor's office. So I think that it's good that they're trying. And I also, I want to believe what they've said, that they've produced everything that's within the scope of the request. And I also want to allow for the fact that it seems possible that they did. Like, I don't know. Both Member Sen and I looked at our phones. We have iPhones, which this obviously is, and this obviously looks like it was produced from an iPhone, like a screen grab, to see how our timestamps were, corresponding to this. And it does seem like there would be, I mean, the timestamp appears above the message, right? So the one that is that we can't see, the grayed out one, could have been from an earlier time. So that's why I asked and still wonder why. Like I would want, it's not my case. I would want the petitioner to follow up and request everything from December, to see if there's something else. But it does, it just seems slightly fishy. And what I was suggesting to Member Stein as she was speaking was also that if we do forward to the task force, we could forward with a recommendation of violation as well, like it's as opposed to just for consideration.
Yes, Member Kumar.
Yeah, I believe they should go to the full task force as well because like the communication itself is a giveaway. Like Mr. Greshler, ever since he's filed the first complaint, has been continuously asking for, PG&E records and like he's been very clear about what he wants, and then he had to file the request again. But it sort of seems like they're deliberately hiding some information and not sharing it with the petitioner. I sort of am getting the feeling that if I file a request now on something similar, they'll just share. It's like they have a standard, how do I want to put it? They have a standard template of whatever they're going to share for anybody who files a request on this particular matter. So I think there's a lot that we are missing out, and the mayor's office has been flagged multiple times by the task force for not being clear in their communication, especially regarding a lot of things. So I think it should go to the full task force, and we should definitely find a violation when it goes to the task force.
Okay, I'm pretty much with everybody on this. I would note, I agree with Member Sugarman that there is appreciation for the fact that this mayor's office is giving us text messages, which was a huge problem with a prior mayor's office. And so I'll note that. I think that if the standard came in and its case was simply, well, we think that they really should have been communicating in writing between the 19th and the 21st. And on that basis, we want you to make a finding. That wouldn't be, I don't think that would be enough for me, but I think that the circumstances of the fact that that date does not appear on the documents we're seeing, and it would have to be on somewhere north of the messages that we are seeing, indicates to me that there are messages that are in the string that would be probably some of them on the same date as the ones we see here, and then maybe even more that preceded those. And so I think on that basis, we may either send it with no recommendation or send it with recommendation to ask the task force to make an order for the preceding text messages. Yes, so that's all I have at this time. And so we could continue to deliberate, but it seems like maybe we'll go ahead and open it up for public comment right now, and then we'll move on to making a motion.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on item 7, please approach the podium if you're in the room. If you're online, raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have one hand raised. Hello, caller. Do you wish to make public comment on item 7?
Yes, I do.
Your 3 minutes begins now.
First off, this is a terribly interesting story that the Standard is doing. The allegations point to the character of our mayor, big shot sort of thing, using and abusing his power at a critical time. What I'm getting here is a stonewalling out of the mayor's office, sadly, a little bit from their responses. Really excellent questions by the entire committee panel there from all different angles. I think you've poked holes in this thing. I think it's worthy to go to the full panel so they can comb it over. To me, I've been involved in this sort of thing with text messages before, not with the city, but the best way to do this, in my view, is with the video. You can record video of your text messages. You could scroll through them slowly on a video record of your screen internally with the phone and produce a file. And that would show the entire message thread or whatever you want to call it, and it would reveal all the times and dates. And of course, in this one, date is very pertinent and very important here because that's when the event was occurring, the ballet recital or whatever. And so the fact that that's obscured is a big red flag. All right. So, and I think it was Ms. Stein who said, what about or I forget one of the panels, this is a really good one, which was, what was the date range you were looking at? Implication I got out of that was, had they had previous interactions, built up a relationship with the PG&E director or whatever, him and the mayor, that would be the stuff that I would be looking for. So I would want to widen the scope and to trap that sort of information, so to speak. But that was a really good pickup on that. So yeah, I think I concur with the panel. Let's go forward. And but again, at least the mayor is producing some text messages. I'd like to see more of that in general with the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Would you like to state your name for the record?
Aaron Wilson.
Thank you. We have no other callers in the queue. No one approaching the podium.
I can make a motion that we as the task force do have jurisdiction. The request documents are public, and we move it to the full task force for further consideration with no recommendation.
I like further consideration with no recommendation.
I'm sorry, Member Kumar, I missed that.
Do you second it?
Yeah, further consideration with no recommendations.
Seconded by Member Kumar. Taking the vote on item 7. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar.
Aye.
Member Kumar, aye. Vice Chair Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. Chair Schmidt.
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. 4 ayes, motion passes. Item
Thank you.
number 8. Thank you, parties. Item number 8, file number 26062, complaint filed by Eddie Kim against the Department of Emergency Management for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance Section 67.21 by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and/or complete manner, and Section 67.26 by failing to keep withholdings to a minimum. Petitioner is in the room, promoting Ms. Jackie Thornhill from the department to panelist. Parties are present.
Okay, when the timer is ready to begin, we'll go ahead and hear first from the petitioner.
Mr. Kim, you'll have 3 minutes. There will be a soft tone that rings when you have 30 seconds remaining. Are you ready?
Yes.
Your time starts now.
First of all, thank you to the committee for being here and for considering this request. I know you have the packet in front of you, so I'm just going to jump to. My request was rejected under Government Code 7929210, which is regarding the disclosure of the record revealing vulnerabilities to or otherwise increasing the potential for an attack on an infotech system of a public agency. My job is as a reporter, city reporter for Gazetteer San Francisco, and I have been continually reporting on issues of mismanagement and other cited problems from 911 dispatchers at the Department of Emergency Management. It is part of that reporting process that I am making this request, and basically I have some questions. You'll see that I have a very simple response that I gave officially in my complaint, but some questions for me. How do we define vulnerability of an information system or an increase for the potential of an attack on such information under 7929210? Is there a concern about breadth? Because the respondent says the problem is not just the info, but the time period, the length across years that I'm asking for this information, and that it's not a single non-sensitive incident. If that is the case, how many incidents would be okay for me to get the records for? Is this about the lack of specificity? Because fulfilling this request would show too much of a pattern across complaint incidents, which is cited as what creates vulnerability to show a stack of records and complaints on similar issues. Can none of this be processed or redacted through that process? In respondents' documents, emails from Deputy Director Robert Smuts explains how these vulnerabilities exist because of an aging CAD system. Would that email itself would have been considered a vulnerability because of its admission of an aged CAD system with many issues that are not currently resolved? If I ask for all emails, not the 2 Robert O2 records, discussing these maintenance issues and CAD aging, would that be acceptable? Or would that too be revealing too many vulnerabilities within the info system? Would this be okay if I specified exactly that I'm looking for mechanical issues, i.e. headphone jacks and call quality concerns? Deputy Director Smuts implies the latter, call quality concerns, would be okay to release in this email in your packet because personally identifiable information would be redactable. Reporting in the public interest uncovers all manner of issues and systemic concerns within city government's systems. My plan is not to republish the logs in whole. I am happy to cooperate in good faith to narrow this request considerably, but to get no records under 7929210 as a justification seems to fall very, very short of our expectations of transparency, especially given that this is in the public interest regarding public safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Thornhill, are you ready for your 3 minutes?
Yes.
Your time begins now.
Good evening, members. Thank you for your time. DEM denies both allegations in this complaint. On section 6721, the timeliness allegation, DEM responded in writing on March 20th, 2026. That was 9 calendar days after the March 11th inquiry within the 10-day statutory deadline, whether you slice it by calendar or business days. On section 67.26, the minimum withholdings allegation, DEM did not withhold any segregable non-exempt material. The 2 Robert O2 series is dispatcher documented reports of equipment, network, and call handling issues inside our computer-aided dispatch system. The vulnerability the records would reveal is inherent in the substantive content the type, frequency, recurring components, and operational impact of system disruptions over a multi-year period. Redacting names, timestamps, or identifiers doesn't cure that exposure, and even an aggregated count of issues by component category over the requested period would identify the most failure-prone elements of our dispatch infrastructure to anyone planning any kind of interference with that. DEM did consult the city attorney's office on the denial, and we jointly concluded through that consultation that no reasonable segregable portion of the records could be released without the same security effect. Now, we didn't, I think to some of the respondent, to some of the petitioners' questions, we didn't necessarily consider like, could a portion of one report maybe be released? I think if there's a very, very narrow request, we could take that on its face and take it back to the city attorney. But our response to the requester on the request as we received it identified what we perceive as a very clear legal basis for non-disclosure. California Government Code Section 7929.210, which protects information security records when disclosure would reveal vulnerabilities or otherwise increase the potential for attack on a public agency information technology system. CAD is part of the city's core public safety dispatch infrastructure, and the of record security records carefully and in writing.
Ms. Thornhill, you are breaking up. We can give you a few more seconds, but could you restate the last statement, please?
Oh, sorry. I think I got the gist of it out, hopefully, but CAD is part of the city's core public safety dispatch infrastructure. So that's why we applied this information security exemption, and we did so in writing and on time, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Okay, members, questions. Member Stein.
I just have a question for Ms. Thornhill. Can you tell us how the information in these logs is structured and give us a sense of the fields in these logs?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to be upfront with the task force that I have not directly looked at the raw logs myself. I've had conversations with staff who have access to them, and those staff have had conversations directly with the city attorney that I've been involved in. But my understanding at a high level is that the logs include the notes on the failure that were submitted by the individual dispatcher, name and identification of the dispatcher that submitted the report, and then any particular components that were involved in the failure. Anything specific beyond that, I would have to go back and clarify.
Okay, that was my only question. Thank you.
Okay. Question to Mr. Kim. I have a couple of things I want to ask you about, and I'm looking at your March 11th message. The first sentence, you say, "Hello, Eddie Kim from Gazetteer here. I had a quick question before I formally request any records." What did you mean when you said before I formally request? You wanted to hear back?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can explain that further. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, it's a courtesy that I extend to public information officers that I work with repeatedly, just to basically say, hey, maybe you can advise me on this a little bit before I go through the trouble of trying to define my exact request. And this is generally the process I go to, and reaching out to the press team for the mayor, for example, before submitting a public records request. Excuse me.
Okay. And it seems to me that implies that you would wait for a response and then you would formally make a request for records, just by the wording of that first sentence. Is that what your intention was when you sent this message?
I actually do not recall what my intention was. As a reporter, I'm just working on a lot of questions and a lot of records requests. So I think it was just, I was waiting, giving an opportunity, a short window of time for someone to say something, and it didn't happen within that window of time. So I decided to just pursue the formal process that is, outlined.
But your submitting to us today that this March 11 document was your request for records, correct?
If I understand what happened, I'm sorry, this was a little bit a while ago. Yes, I believe that was the request I made, and or they treated it as the request and got back to me saying that no two Robert O2 logs were available at all. So I'm sorry, I'm a little bit confused by some of the things I've been filing, but you are correct. They treated that as the request, and that I would have gone through a more formalized process to narrow it down, but they got back to me saying no records could be responsive on this particular front.
Okay. And the next sentence of your letter, you say, I was told that I can specifically request the two Robert O2 series of records. Who told you, who was that told you that?
I have sources within the Department of Emergency Management who advised me anonymously beforehand regarding the possibility of getting these records. And I was told that because they are a part of the CAD logs, which are publicly available, that it would be part and parcel. Obviously, that's not quite the case.
Okay. And at this time, do you still place reliance on what you had been told that you were referring to in this March 11? Do you still think that they were correct, that you can specifically request them?
I believe so. And I believe that is backed up by Deputy Director Robert Sputz in the email attached in that packet saying that there is some information that would be redactable and releasable. And that to me implies that they could have responded or actually asked me to narrow my request, but roundly rejected it under that government code.
Okay, so your reading of the Smuts document is that this was information that could have been produced with redactions.
At least in part, which I think is an important distinction
Okay.
for both parties. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I think that's what I have. Any more questions from any of the members for the parties? Okay, I'm going to ask, let's talk about that Smuts document. And I think, let's see, trying to find it. What page?
Page 17 of the exhibit.
Thank you.
Of the packet. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, about that, the question of petitioner is what part of what on this page 17, if you can try to access it, what is it that you're looking at that indicates to you that there could have been production with redactions of a part?
So that is based on my reading of the first sentence of the email dated 5/7/2026. There are a lot of PII, personally identifiable information issues with the 2R02 log. The most common entry is for audio quality on a phone call, and the entry will typically have the phone number and the CAD number, and sometimes things like name or address. Connecting a phone number to a CAD number is a big problem. Those PII issues could be dealt with by redaction, though. So to me, that again suggests that the round overall rejection of my request under the guise of government code is not appropriate interpretation given what was admitted by Mr. Smuts.
Thank you. Okay. Well, members, any thoughts on how we approach this. Yes, Member Sugarman.
I just have a general comment in terms of approaching it. Because I don't think that this is really indicative of how we should vote on it, but it's interesting to me that the DEM has had two separate instances where security is, like releasing information is a security issue for them, essentially. So it made complete sense to me last time, earlier this month. And now, I find it hard to not see their rationale, but also it's come up twice, right? So like, in successive order.
Okay. Yes, Member Kumar.
So from the email dated 5/7, my concern is, I mean, I get it that first of all, they shouldn't be on such an old CAD system. The second thing is I get it, it's a multi-year effort to migrate systems, but I would want to hear from the IT department as to what are the systems that are being changed and how, if there's any way we can get the information for the petitioner without compromising on PII. Because even if the old CAD system, I mean, they're old, but it sort of seems like the person who got back to, to the journalist doesn't really know exactly what the system can support or cannot support. I think somebody with that technical skill set will be able to tell us if we can get those documents in the first place or not. I think just attributing it to an old system is incorrect, given that there have been a lot of multi-year upgrades of technical systems in the city, and they have been going on for a while. So, and I don't want a situation where, this case keeps coming up, and then eventually we discover these files disappeared because they migrated to a new system. We need to know that the safety procedures are in place so that in the future, say 5 years down the line, I or anybody else files a complaint and wants these records, if they have migrated to the new system, we can get that information.
Yeah. Member Stein.
Say that for me, this definitely seems like something that we have to bring the full task force into discussion over. I personally, at this moment, don't really know how we can evaluate the validity of this exemption, or how the petitioner could contest, how the petitioner could contest it, or how the respondent could prove it. But I feel like it needs to be in front of the full task force, and it really can't just be up to the four of us. So I would be in favor of sending it to the task force without a particular recommendation for their consideration.
Yes.
Just one more thing. One thing that really was concerning for me was that they have had issues when certain carriers were not coming through to 911. And that is very scary, very scary. So I think we need to know what system they're on, because I mean, I do not want to be in a situation where I migrate from T-Mobile to Spirit and then my call doesn't go to 911. I hope I never have to contact 911, but God forbid.
If I may just add one little bit of context. To me, as a reporter, this is very similar to if an investigation found critical infrastructure such as our sewers or our electrical grid having vulnerabilities. The city could argue that that is a vulnerability on a security front. I think the rest of us would argue that we ought to know some of these things, and that government transparency on things that aren't working is actually when transparency is needed most. Thank you.
Absolutely. And a woman today fell into a manhole in New York and died. So that was front page news. We don't want that, right?
Yeah, and I will point out that PII is one thing and safety and security is another thing. And so we don't want to transmogrify them here. I don't know if that's the right word. But I'm probably, I think I'm with Member Stein that I'm not sure if I'm seeing that I would, at the full task force, be supportive of finding that there was a violation. I think that the argument about safety and security and to evaluate that, I'm not sure if I could double or question the assertion. They did go to one of their experts, at least one, and then they went through, talked to the city attorney's office about, redactions, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know if I'd be able to, support a finding of a violation, but I do think that this may be a case where probably the best thing that we can do here today is send it on for just kind of like a clean review by the full task force. Anything else before we hear public comment? Okay.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on item 8? If you're in the room, please approach the podium. If you're online, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no one in the queue.
Okay, do we have, I'll make the motion this time. Move that we find that, yes, we have the task force has jurisdiction. These are public documents, and that we send this matter forward for consideration by the full task force with no recommendation attached.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Chair Schmidt, seconded by Member Sugarman. To find that the task force has jurisdiction, that the requested records are public, and to forward the matter to the full task force with no recommendation. Taking the vote on this item. Chair Schmidt.
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar.
Aye.
Member Kumar, aye. Vice Chair Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. 4 ayes. Motion passes. Thank you, parties.
Thank you very much for the outcome and the consideration.
Thank you. Before we go to the next matter, do you know if the petitioner is online?
I would have to check for petitioner. I understand petitioner is joining us remotely. I do not see a representative from the department. Both parties confirmed their attendance for items 9 and 10 last week.
Okay. I thought we'd maybe offer a break before we go to let's go ahead and take a break. And
I would
then
appreciate a break.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. Let's call it, I have 41, looks like all my clocks have the same thing, till 7:50, 50.
And your start time is?
A 9-minute break, 7:50. Oh, our start time of what?
I am syncing my start time to your start time. So
Oh.
maybe 9 minutes, but what is your start time?
Oh, 7:41.
9-minute start time noted. The committee is in recess at 7:39 p.m. Microphones are off.
Yeah.
Committee is back in session at 7:48 p.m. All members are present.
Line 9.
Item 9, file number 26063. This is public records request 261538. Complaint filed by James Cassiel against the Department of Public Works for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.21, by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and/or complete manner. We have one hand raised. Hello, caller. Are you here for item 9? You've been unmuted.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Yes. Could you identify yourself, please?
This is David Steinberg from Public Works.
Hello, Mr. Steinberg, promoting you to panelist. Petitioner, if you are present, would you raise your hand in the app or press *3, please, so that we can identify you? We have one more caller. Petitioner, if you are present for item 9, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. Respondent is present and added as a panelist. No response from petitioner.
Sounds like petitioner is not appearing.
One moment, please. Let me, if I may, I will check my
Yeah.
email. Checked it 10 minutes ago. Let me check one more time. Okay. Oops. No communication recently from petitioner.
Okay. It seems like what we're seeing is we're being used as a bit of a cudgel, which I'm not saying that's inappropriate, to sort of get a last round of production from people. But since petitioner's not here, we've been here for 2.5 hours. Let's just say that I'll make a motion that we close this matter, and we'll read number 10 separately, but to close this matter, number 9.
Public comment?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll make the motion after public comment. I didn't make a motion. I just was.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on item 9? If you're in the audience, please approach the podium. If you're online, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no one in the queue.
Okay, motion to close matter.
I second it. That's Member Stein. Pursuant to 7B.
Moved by Chair Schmidt, seconded by Vice Chair Stein to close the matter pursuant to Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Complaint Procedure, Section C, 7B. Taking the vote on item 9. Chair Schmidt.
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Vice Chair Stein. Vice Chair Stein, aye. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar.
Absent.
Member
Step
Kumar.
away.
Member Kumar absent. 3 ayes, 1 absent. Motion passes. Item 10, file 26064. This is Public Records Request number 26-1540. Complaint filed by James Cassiel against the Department of Public Works for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.21, by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and/or complete manner. Petitioner is not present. Let me call one more time. Petitioner, if you are present for item 10 and you are in the online community, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. Petitioner is not present. Respondent is a panelist.
Yes, and so noting that Mr. Steinberg has duly appeared, petitioner is not present, I will make the same motion that, oh, yes.
May I request public comment?
Oh, sure.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on item 10, please raise your hand in the app or press *3 to be recognized. I'll give you a moment. We have no one in the room, no one in the queue.
Motion to close the matter.
Second.
Moved by Chair Schmidt, seconded by Vice Chair Stein, to close the matter pursuant to Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Complaint Procedure, Section C, 7B. Taking the vote. Chair Schmidt.
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Vice Chair Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye.
She was absent.
Member Kumar, absent. 3 ayes, 1 absent. Motion passes. Item 11.
We handled 2 cases while you were gone. We're very fast.
I'm so sorry, I got an urgent thing. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
Mr. Steinberg, thank you for your attendance.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Cassiel didn't show, so 4 out of 7 tonight. All right. So, yeah, we'll move to number 11.
Item 11. Proposed edits to Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Complaint Procedures.
Okay. Go ahead.
Member Pilpel, if you are present in the online audience, please raise your hand in the app or press *3 so that we can identify you. We have no response.
Okay. So, I believe that one of the active proponents of certain edits is Member Pilpel, and Mr. Pilpel Member Pilpel did notify us that he's ill today. And so, we probably may want to consider that he'll want to have his ideas heard at a future meeting. That being said, it's my understanding that the first version of a sort of comprehensive editing of the complaint procedures document came from Member Pilpel, but also that we also have Member Stein, who weighed in on certain aspects of those proposals and maybe some other proposed edits. And so I open up the floor to Member Stein, to any other members, and I do want to just ask to begin, what is it that anyone wants to propose that we do with these proposed edits? So I'll hand it over to you, Member Stein.
Yeah, so this is the second time this is coming back. The first time, we weren't sure what to do with it, I think, or even why it was coming necessarily through this committee, since it wasn't generated through this committee. But it came back second time, and this is it. You know, I read through it, and maybe I got like a tiny bit carried away because I think I added some things, and really, I think Member Pilpel, it's just making, you know, editing changes to make it just like more organized and, you know, read a little bit better. I don't think there's anything really major here. I still found a few things that kind of got lost, you know, like maybe a sentence without a subject, for instance, here and there, or at least one sentence that's unclear. Like one example of me getting carried away is I considered on page 12, paragraph 1, and now I can't remember like how I did the page numbers, but I considered like, oh, maybe we should add a limit of 5 cases per year heard by any one person, but that really goes over what he does in these changes that he suggests. So I could happily like remove my suggestions. These are things we don't want to argue for, because I think it would be pretty easy to pass this as just cosmetic changes, but some of the things I threw in were a little bit more than that. I was trying to remember, when we send something to the consent calendar, does it need to be unanimous?
That's where I
it
was.
does. It does? Or you weren't sure?
Yeah, I had similar questions, and that's the part that I flagged. So you're getting the part.
Yeah, so I didn't know if that was a change.
It looks like
I don't think
yes.
so. I don't think it has to be unanimous.
Yeah,
it doesn't now. Yeah.
I didn't think it did either, but I'm like, maybe I was missing something. So that's something I don't know that I would support.
It also says in there, the new also gives the authority to, quote, amend consent calendar items, gives the SOTF to amend the consent items without notice to complainant and respondent. So
Yeah, I
it's,
don't remember if that was originally in there. I guess I have to go back and compare it or find it. And then there was something else too, where it was on page 17, where it says if there's a request for reconsideration, holding a hearing automatically rescinds the prior order. And I think that was added. I don't know that we need to rescind the prior order. I think we can just make a new order if we want to, and otherwise the old order would stand. So that was, you know, a question that I had.
Can I back it up a little bit? Can you explain to me, partly because, you know, I looked at, say, it's on page 11. I'm going to ask you to explain to me what is happening with the, you know, the prior text, the blue, the red, et cetera, but I'm looking at page 11, the public hearing procedures, and I'm looking at paragraphs 1 and 2, and I would really not be thinking that there's no substantive changes to this. It looks like it's completely eradicated. So
I think just, you know, the chunks where you've got the line through red, he's removing them. But in every case that I saw, he was putting it somewhere else. So it's just a reorganization of where it appears. So
okay.
I'm concerned about the shall he, and that's an example too, that like paragraph 4 there that's all in red. I noticed that it no longer has a subject because the committee was crossed out.
Is yours the blue?
No, the blue is what he adds somewhere. I'm
So
trying to find where.
There are 3 sections. There's the red line, which is the red and the blue, so that you can see something that was removed and something that was added back. And then there was a completely clean version, so that that PDF could be searched if you're looking for text to see if it was eradicated.
Where's the one where, like, what I'm having trouble finding now, and I can't remember how I did it before, where if you can pull up all the comments and see who added what or subtracted what.
Member Sugarman.
So I'm going to offer up some slightly controversial information and say that I ran an analysis of this document to see what proposed changes were made to our procedure process, and I'm going to list them now.
Difference checker? Yes.
I just emailed them to Member Stein. As this analysis understands it, there's a new annual cap on complaints per person.
That's I added, so I can take that out.
Okay, no, it's okay. It's okay. These are the proposals, though. The inactivity window shortened from 120 days to 90 days. The reopening window shortened from 60 days to 30 days. That's number 3. Number 4 is I also have these emailed to you, but yes. The number 4 is the removal of administrator's standalone authority to table/close files. The current procedures, I'm reading this one as an explanation. The procedures have a section letting our administrator unilaterally close files at 6 months of non-responsiveness. So this draft eliminates that section and transferring all closed table decisions to the chair or the full Sunshine Force. And then in item 5, the new explicit consent calendar structure means that it was flagged that if it's a non-unanimous vote, then it goes to the regular calendar, which I'm not necessarily in disagreement. We tend to send those that way, so I'm not sure that matters to me. Also gives the full board the authority to amend the consent calendar items without notice to complainant or respondent. There's 2 more. Item 6 is first time continuance is gone. Okay, so basically, we currently have the power to allow a continuance if it's the first request of it, and the new draft drops that. And then item 7 is reconsideration of testimony time drops from 5 to 4 minutes per side.
Which I think is in accordance with what we voted on last time.
The bylaws.
So I will just put in there if this is actually what we're looking at. Like I said, because I would have to verify that. However, the new annual cap on complaints per person, I don't feel would be accepted by our board in any way. I feel like it just calls for fairness. I do think that it's kind of like the same sort of a different fairness thing, but a similar vein of like speaking times for people, that like there might be a way to thread that needle in terms of prioritizing other complainants who are first or not as frequent filers as others. But I don't personally think that we would be able to like cap them.
So I'm happy to remove that because I think I did get a little carried away.
I think it's possible to do, just not in that way.
Yeah. But I don't think it should be folded in probably to this approval of this version, unless people think it should be.
And the only other one that kind of like, I mean, I'm sure there's other things to discuss, but the only other one that like sticks out to me is any kind of revision to the consent calendar. I'm fine with the non-unanimous item, but to amend the consent calendar item without notice to complainant or respondent, it just sounds like it just sounds fishy. That's my response to that.
Wait, which one?
For the full SOTF, authority to quote amend consent calendar items without notice to complainant and respondent.
What does that mean? Like we vote on it, but we change the
it means that
recommendation or the action that we're voting on?
It means that at the full, this is how I interpret that. At the full board, right now what we do is we pull it for reconsideration. But what we're saying is maybe at the full board we can see the consent item and amend it there and then still consider it a consent item. And I don't agree with that.
Okay. But this is an AI, right?
Correct.
We haven't verified.
Yes.
Member Kumar.
I just had I just had a feedback on the continuances point. I wanted to know if it's possible to make, if somebody wants a continuance, if it could be made 5 calendar days, because I feel like if it's 5 business days, the department, might sit on it or might not, I mean, there won't be a sense of urgency within the department to get back as soon as possible. This sort of also puts pressure on them that, hey, the Sunshine Task Force is very serious about the allegations against you, and it's better that you respond as quickly as possible. Just a thought. I mean, you can totally turn it down. It's just a thought that I had.
Okay. Yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, thank you for the list of the substantive, the actual changes. I'm a little bit sort of. I have a lot of confusion over this. There's a lot of.
Who added and subtracted what?
4 different documents in there, right?
Right, but only the one that's redlined, I think, would have the comments on the sidebar of who did what. But I just can't remember how to get it.
Oh, the sidebar.
Well, if you hit highlights and notes, I can see my notes, but so that's not it.
The sidebar, it definitely would help if it appeared here. Can you make that appear?
But that's what I can't remember.
Show comments.
Show comments. Where is show comments?
Rather than navigate to the wizard, maybe search for it.
Let's see, show no result found.
It may be the case that in a PDF,
Got lost.
it's not appearing.
Oh, it could be. Because I did have it, I think, in the document that I sent.
I have a question about the inactivity window and the reopening windows, if those are part of if they are part of the suggested edits. How often does that come up? I feel like people don't reopen cases. I mean, we invite them to, right? But they do.
We get requests for reconsideration, like a handful a year. And we've already had 1 or 2 this year.
So is it burdensome enough to shorten the window from 60 to 30 days? Like, do we need to tighten that up?
I mean, it's never come up as far as I know.
I'm gonna again, stepping back, I'm gonna ask what are we gonna do here? Is this a all or nothing kind of package that we're gonna vote, or is the idea that each person goes through and makes changes one at a time? Do we make comments to the document? Seems like it's a very ambitious document, and I'm not exactly sure how to handle it.
I have another related question to that. Like, if this is, and obviously we'll want to ask him when he's available, but if this is Member Pilpel's initiative and he's bringing it to us, does that mean that we should be revising this document and bringing the suggested, like the final revisions that we decide on to the full task force? Or is he intent on not taking those suggestions and then bringing the same document to the full task force? Because if he's going to do that, then why are we considering them now? Anyway.
Well, yeah, and my thought on your question is, I think it's up to us what we want to do with this. There's 4 of us on this committee. And I think it would be within the scope of our membership of the committee to say, we want to have nothing to do with this. If we wanted to take it and do something with it, it's offered to us, we can do that too. I mean, I think we can do anything we want with this document. I don't think there's any obligation, though, because it's brought by someone who's not in this committee. I do think that I'd certainly like to figure out, what Member Stein's ideas are and where they sort of coalesce with Member Pilpel's ideas. And okay, go ahead, Member Sherman.
Nothing. I just wanted to say that I would like to move Member Stein's suggestion, the first one, the new annual cap on complaints. I would like to move that to our agenda item number 12, hearing regarding advancing Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Section 673 roles, in the sense of, I think that's a good item for us not to take as it has been suggested, but to work out a way to bring that forward as our next policy matter for people who are serial filers. How can we address that in a meaningful way? Because we just finished with our speaking times item. So I feel like we now have another policy. We have an opening for policy revision at the Sunshine level.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm totally for that. I don't.
Because I like the idea.
Yeah, I mean, and I've just been grappling with, when I look at our cases every year in the annual report, that there are half of them come from like just a few people.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to just say, I just looked up whether this notion of it being unanimous is in the current procedures. It's not. So this is an addition.
I think it's a solution in search of a problem.
I also think it's, yeah, I don't think it needs to be unanimous. If somebody doesn't like that it went there, they can pull it off the consent calendar.
But how often do we do that anyway? We don't.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, I'm imagining a situation, I don't know. I don't think it needs to be in there.
Can I ask, I want to look just at the one part of this that we as a committee reworked a while back, which is C and C1A. I think it read C1A, priority for handling of 6721. And what was or what is existing is a 1A and a 1B and a 2. And the way I see this, there's a lot of lined out red here. And I guess it could show up somewhere else in the document. Is that true that all of this does?
Look at it again, and I have to confess, I read half of this one day and then several days later read the other half. And the first time I read it, I was concerned that things were being taken out, but then I saw they'd been put somewhere else. But this time I haven't had that cohesive reading of it. But let's search.
Yes.
So I just confirmed that the ability to see the balloons and to be able to filter out who made which changes is in the Word document. It's not available in the PDF. So the next time this comes up, the item that is produced in the attachment can be expanded to include those distinctions. I did a review of the changes in this particular document that was produced tonight as a PDF. It's 685 changes. So I would request guidance on how you would like to see the document produced.
I would request, especially if we're going to readdress this next month with Member Pilpel in attendance, that he creates a document with all of the substantive changes that he would like done to the procedure. That's separate from what we're looking at, that's blue and red strikeout.
So I'm looking like this thing about respondent required to attend petitioner being, I don't know, it's like I'm not finding it somewhere else. Like I'm just in a search, I'm not finding the word attend somewhere else. Just what's been.
And given the confusion, even though it's, like I said, controversial, I'm happy to email the analysis of the changes that a computer found.
Maybe my search is just not working on. I don't think my search is working on this.
Yeah, save anything that you have and it may get worked into some other form. It might be that the only way we can really work with this is if we had that right side column of comments actually show up in the record, because it's difficult for me to read through this and understand who is doing what and where do people agree, and even like sure there's a lot of this could be procedural, and I think that member Pilpil even may have said, oh well, I'm just making like administrative changes, but I'm seeing a lot of things that look like they're very substantive, and I didn't necessarily go through everything, but things that may look procedural may actually be substantive.
So something that would be very helpful to have. I mean, I know we already asked him to go back and show us like what was being added, what was being redlined, all of that. Maybe everywhere where something is redlined, if he can put a note in his comments, we need to be able to see the comments. If he can make a note of, was this just taken out or was this put somewhere else? If it was put somewhere else, where was it put? Like, so it's just a note that would say like moved to, and then we would know and we could check that it was moved and what it says would be very helpful.
I don't think it's his fault either that it's like that confusing. Like track changes in Word is always like, if I'm like, I would end up doing an edit on something and with track changes on, but not look at them, just like literally just delete a paragraph and rewrite it. And then you wouldn't know, it'd be harder to see.
Well, okay. But
No, I'm not. Oh, I'm
it's
not.
like very hard for us to know what's happening.
No, I agree with you. I'm not in disagreement. I'm just saying that like I don't think it's anyone's particular fault that it's unreadable. It's just, it's not a good process.
Sometimes he does rewrite it a little bit, like just makes it more clear, but the same sentence with the same meaning basically is just moved.
Yeah.
So, and I think he could indicate it.
No, I just wanted to say that I'm a little concerned about some of the changes. Like for example, saying that one person cannot have more than 5 complaints in a calendar year. That was the one that was of a lot of concern to me. It's not that I'm assuming that there are people who have more than 5 complaints in a calendar year, but why should we, restrict people from filing sunshine complaints? I mean, as a journalist, there are so many times when we had 2 journalists today. Like, I don't think we should stop people from.
Yeah, and that's the one that I suggested that we take on as a committee separately as an item, because I agree with you. I don't think that we'll reach consensus, but I also agree with Member Stein that there are people who are taxing our system is the easiest way of putting it. We want to hear their complaints, but they are in many cases the majority of complaints when other people are bringing fewer of them, and we want to make sure that we're prioritizing those people as well.
I have a suggestion. Why don't we just break down the changes by say like sections? We say section 1, most important, urgent, red, code red. We need to address these first. 2, 3, blue or orange, yellow, something. Basically, we just address. We take a look at this document because I feel that because it's so much information, I don't want to lose something that may fall through the cracks that might not seem important right now, but might become huge in the future. So,
yeah.
How about we can? I think Member Pilpil worked on this. If he could make like sections or headings or just make these little things that could help us parse through the most important parts of the document first and then discuss those. And maybe we can discuss these over a course of like 2 or 3 meetings. I don't think we can finish this in one. Sure.
I second that. That's what I was suggesting earlier.
Oh, yes,
As the
Administrator Peterson.
As the person making the changes, and recognizing the fact that the complaint procedures now appear as a web page, I appreciate Member Sugarman's suggestion of, I believe, a crosswalk to keep track, because for the administrator, there are 2 actions. There's whether or not a correction was made, according to the text. There's also tracking the intent behind it, so that if there is a change or there is confusion, the breadcrumbs are there to get to the answer without having to do a full analysis. I do appreciate the different diff checkers that, the difference checkers for text that are now available for AI, but I agree that if they are used, even when I use them, I go back and I verify.
We need to always do that for sure.
Okay. So I think it's good for finding the large changes, but I would not lean toward using it for typographical changes.
I'm going to say that I'm not extremely interested in doing a full-scale revision of the complaint procedures. I don't know what prompts the idea. Obviously, any document can be improved. I just don't, I'm not exactly sure what the impetus is for even doing this. I know that, Member Pilpel, got a bee in his bonnet and decided that he wanted to do this. And he said to us, well, I spent a lot of time on this, but I'm not exactly sure if I'm that interested in going through and analyzing every single one of what Mr. Pilpel wants to do. So I'm not saying no or never, but I am saying that I don't think that, we could come up with a resolution that it's going to be, our mission. Just like in this amendments committee, it's their mission to rewrite the whole Sunshine Ordinance. We could say it's our mission to rewrite the whole complaint procedures. And it may be that I'm the only one who's not interested in it. But I think at this point, we haven't sort of like committed to any course of action. And that's sort of my first observation. My second observation is that it seems to me to be just like with the amendments to the Sunshine Ordinance. I don't know how taking a document that in putting, hundreds, 600 changes in, and trying to get 11 people to agree to even like more than 2 or 3 of them. How you do this is really, that to me is where it fails, because there has to be, the process has to be established before the substance is considered, I believe. Yes, Member Stein.
No, that was just.
Oh, I had something. I was gonna, as you were speaking, I was gonna say, I think I agree entirely with what you just said, but also I don't want to shut a member down for wanting to put in a good effort for something, even if we don't necessarily understand why. And I agree with you that I don't necessarily understand why. I think that if we went to Member Pilpel about it and sent him a note about it to say that something to that effect. And also, could you please come back to us with maybe your top 3 proposals without even necessarily amending the complaint procedure, so we can discuss those specifically, the most substantive changes that you would like to see. And then we can talk about incorporating that.
Yes.
I formally moved to complaint this month, and I literally feel like I want a plane and there's a bird strike happening. Like I need at least I need another month for sure. Not even a month. I think I need more than that to just go through all the proposed amendments, primarily because I'm a new member on this committee, and I would like to say this to member people as well, that, as someone who's just joined complaint committee, I need my time to go through something so significant and then be able to offer my observations. Because right now I've just read it in bits and pieces, and whatever little I read, I agreed with some of it. No, not completely agreed, but I had like my concerns, and then some of them were just alarming. So I would suggest the same thing that Member Sugarman said. Maybe the most important ones could be given to us, and then we could. Yeah, but I literally feel like I'm a pilot, and I'm in the middle of a bird strike. I don't know how else to put it at this point.
Maybe, yeah. And the idea of let's, in some form, we send a message to Member Pilpel. Thank you for presenting your ideas to us. This is what we would recommend doing going forward, kind of thing. And I think we could then maybe say 4 or 5 things. I like the idea of, okay, you've got 685 changes. Give us 3. Yeah. And, your 3, like you said, substantive changes that you're recommending. If he wants to make, and that might be a good dividing line. If you want to make 3 substantive changes, then tell us what substantive changes are. If you want to go through and find where periods and commas are wrong, and to, like capitalization, punctuation, then do that in its own. But I mean, I don't mind, a full, punctuation review, which it looks like apparently a lot of this may have been non-substantive changes. If it's all non-substantive, sure, go ahead. Maybe we'll just approve it all, but I'd rather deal with those things separately from substantive changes. So yeah, let's say, if you have, give us 3 substantive changes and you can present it to us, but we're not yet committing to any particular manner of considering your proposed global set of changes, something like that. And I think we just sort of like agree on a message to Pilpel, like, come back with something different, and this is what we have to say right now.
I would say that the language or something like it is that we as the complaint committee find the current procedure to be functional for our purposes. However, we invite you to propose up to your top 3 substantive changes you would like to make to that procedure. And I would also add, because he does like to do punctuation, grammar, etc. And for me, I have a question about that. Whatever change happens, it becomes one that has to be approved at a higher level. So, and I don't know how high level this would have to go. So my proposal for him would be that you create these substantive changes in a document that does not even touch the policy document as it exists. And then if you want to do a grammar fix, then go ahead and make an entire track changes document full of that. And we can review that separately with the note that you put on it. These are non-substantive changes. These are grammar and like smaller fixes. So we know.
Grammar, punctuation,
Yes.
capitalization, font, whatever, that kind of stuff.
So I would like to move to continue this until our next meeting in June with the proposal to send Member Pilpel an advisory email about what we would like to, we as the complaint committee would like to see from him. And I can add for the motion, including his top 3 substantive changes to the complaint procedure. And if Member Pilpel chooses, a separate document for grammar and punctuation revisions to the complaint policy.
I do want to say, though, it's not just grammar and punctuation, it's also just reorganization. So that's a lot of what went on here.
And I would limit to grammar and punctuation.
Okay.
I wouldn't. I think the reorganization is something that we found confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if not trying to change the motion as made, but I think reorganization can be a thing. But right now it's like kind of throwing a wrench into this. I mean, sure, it could be organized better, but maybe we handle that a little on the next round. Yes.
I would also suggest migrating this to Google Doc for 2 reasons. One, it's on the cloud. We, in case something disappears, we have access to it. Number 2, it's very easy to track the versions. So if there's been a change made to a version, even if it's a rewording or anything, we can always see it and go back to the previous version. So I would suggest Member Pilpel move this to Google Doc.
So I don't know if it's Member Pilpel, but there are some members on our board that find security issues with Google Docs. But if he's not one of them, then I don't have a problem with suggesting that as well. Do you want to does everyone else agree with adding that to the motion?
I agree. Well, I have no problem with the security of Google Docs with regards to this. That it doesn't concern me. I think it's a great idea. Google Docs, yes.
Okay.
And I think it makes it. Although we have to be very careful about violating the Brown Act and Sunshine when we're talking about collective documents that we're all considering. We just have to be very careful about how we go about doing that.
So does that mean the Google Doc has to be made available to the entire task force because it could constitute a meeting or something to that effect?
It could constitute a meeting at some point, and that's the issue.
Yep.
And so, really, it may be that we just cannot functionally operate with a Google Docs document and not violate the Brown Act.
Well,
That's because we're supposed to be doing it. Believe me, I'm not saying it's efficient that the Brown Act exists, but basically the Brown Act says if you're going to talk about it with, a significant number of you present, you got to do it in a public hearing. So we could sit there like all talking out our changes with the public invited to watch.
I factored that in. So what I basically meant was that we don't do, so Member Pilpel just makes his changes on Google Doc, and it maybe can be just shared with one person so that we can at least see the modifications if need be. He can always download he can always turn on track changes. And you can add comments on Google Doc. You can do track changes on Google Doc as well and download and send it to everybody. That could be done that's a workaround that we can find. But at least in this case, like, for example, member Sugarman pointed out, or member Stein said that he's rewording stuff, but I don't know what he's rewording because Word is not equipped to handle that. So maybe he can do the work on the cloud and then download and send it to us.
No, I think actually, it's a good point. I think that what was said was that Word can handle this. It's just that we were shared a PDF, so we don't know who made what changes. And I agree with.
Could show it, and it did show it.
Yeah, so I agree with what you just said in terms of that it should be that we can add to the motion that it should be shared with us in a way where we know who's tracking what, and we can avoid any Brown Act violations by not making it a group that's viewing the document. So it can be shared with us after he's done making those changes.
Or maybe what would solve the Brown Act is that none of us work on another person's document. Like anyone who wants to make proposed changes, they've got to work on their own document. And then, who knows, maybe we get 8 or 9 people all with an individual document, and they could all be in whatever, Google Docs, Word. I don't know if there's a way we can take all that and somehow turn it into a single document. That may be the Brown Act violation by doing that. But, maybe then we give it to Administrator Peterson to say, okay, like, do what you can here, to see what you can do with all this. And then we immediately take that document and put it up for hearing and say, we'll talk about it.
I just want to flag one thing, Member Schmidt. Like, for example, if I would, if somebody would come to me and say that I want to make changes, I mean, I think all of us were anticipating maybe some changes. We were not anticipating so many. So maybe for the future, we could iterate that if any member of the task force wants to make changes, we limit those to like a certain number, preferably a 1-digit number, 2-digit if it's 10, not more than that. But I don't want to sound like somebody's mom, but I think we might have to do that.
Yeah. This is like, too much. With the motion that was stated.
That makes sense. I'm redoing it just to make sure that we have it.
I would lean toward, unless people want to add to the motion, I'd probably want to second the motion as stated. Should we go forward that way?
Yes, I think that makes sense to me. I think that this doesn't have to be part of the motion, but it's just a matter, if it's just Member Pelpel creating the document by himself, then it's just a matter of our administrator making sure that when we receive those documents, we know who created the document. And that's all.
Can we get a Word document, probably .word instead of a text, or Word instead of .pdf?
Yeah.
There is a Word document.
Word enables multiple users to be assigned a particular color, which I have done. I just checked online. Word also provides timestamps for when the changes are made. I have not used that function, so I don't know that I would be able to identify quickly who made changes on what date, and identify the person who made the change by color. But it looks like there are various trackers.
So what I'm requesting, I think that what we're saying is, we're not considering the current document with the track changes. That's what we're saying. We're saying we're going to, in this motion, we're going to invite Member Pelpel to create up to 2 new documents. One is his proposed 3 substantive changes. The second document has to deal with grammar and punctuation without reorganizing the document. That's important. And to what you just said about highlighting people's timestamps, their edits, etc. I don't think that we're going to commingle these documents in the future. It simply is going to be a document that he created and his proposed changes. And if someone else, another member wants to propose their own changes after a meeting next month, then they can also submit their own document for that purpose. And it will be your task in that case just to collate those documents with each member's proposed changes. And that way it's clear which member said what.
Member Sugarman, can you add that when he submits the 3 proposed changes, they be in bullet points, just so that we don't get
Sure.
a 30-page document? Not,
That
not
could be
at
added to the motion. Oh, wait, well, that's, I agree with that. That's subject to, the seconder, Chair Schmidt.
Yeah, second agrees.
Could I have a restatement of the motion, please?
Yes. I move to continue this matter to the complaint committee's next meeting in June. While we, and additionally, sending an advisory memo to Member Pilpel to include his top 3 substantive changes to the complaint procedure in bullet points. Period. Additionally, Member Pilpel may, comma, if he chooses to, comma, submit a second document revising grammar and punctuation to the complaint procedure, period. These changes may not be substantive, and we request that Member Pilpel does not reorganize the complaint procedure in this document.
My second stands.
Thank you. I have the gist of it. I will get the exact language from the audio. Let's see. We did not call for public comment. We have one hand raised.
Let's now call for public comment. I think that's the only practical way that we could do it in this situation anyways.
Hello, caller. Do you wish to make public comment on item 11?
Okay, yes, thank you. And I listened to the whole deliberations there, and I was very fearful that you would change, like Member Kumar was detailing a little bit, for journalists or people seeking the truth, 5 per year. Wow, that almost makes me not want to engage at all because it's so limiting. Then what do I do? Go anonymous or try to pick the best issues or something? And I don't know. And then the pejorative label, serial complainer or whatever, wow. Okay. Can you let me know? Is it me? Let me know. I'm the bad guy. I'm a serial complainer. I mean, that's just like I said, very pejorative. I don't think that's what's going on here. Anything ill and, bad faith or the public interest is really at hand. In my, filings with these people are always fighting you, coming up new ways to be deceitful and not give up the documents ultimately. So we really need access to the SOTF. So, what if it's not broke, don't fix it. How about that as a quick way of dealing with it? And so many changes, then everyone will have to revert to the new system. And what kind of chaos is that going to cause? And for how long until we get the new system? Like I say, I think you guys exhibited today high performance. You dispensed with the caseload straightforwardly. I don't see this thing as broken at all. So I don't know why it needs to be fixed or overhauled, especially to this degree. I just don't see the need for it. So I'm against it, obviously, especially you've already narrowed it down to only 2 same complainants on one given hearing. You already did that. So that's pretty much a tapering down and so forth. So, yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. Please don't put them, you could put maybe 25 or something, just not to let it go completely bananas. But 5? Nah, I think that's far too limiting, especially for journalists. I mean, what are you going to do? Then you're really handed over to the agencies, and they'll manipulate. They'll use that to their advantage to withhold. So you're just giving the agencies a big one right there. And I would say in conclusion, does the Sunshine Ordinance allow for these sorts of changes apart from whatever's like, the ordinance? Are you guys allowed this sort of power to change all of this stuff? Does it allow for that? So anyways, yeah, please let me know if I'm a serial complainer, and please don't put the number too low. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're watching you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Taking the vote on item 11. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Chair Schmidt.
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Member Kumar.
Aye.
Member Kumar, aye. Vice Chair Stein. Aye. Vice Chair Stein, aye. 4 ayes, motion passes. Item 12 is our standing item, hearing on advancing Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, Section 67.3 rules.
Standing request that we make that 67.3, change it into 67.30.
Which I will make. I apologize.
Excellent. Because I don't know if we have any 67.3 rules, but I don't have anything on for this as of today. Per today, I know that we have certain possibilities. Just to explain to our new member, this is sort of an ongoing project we have, which is we've basically been focusing on the both used and unused powers of the task force and trying to see how we could try to maximize where those powers are being used, where those powers are being pursued, etc. There seem to be certain things that the ordinance tells us that the task force shall or should do that just aren't being done. And so we're coming up with ideas. We made some changes in the bylaws recently, which actually were sort of in that category, but not necessarily. We're not necessarily coming up with a lot of great ideas, but it's an ongoing process. And so we talked about like a press list. We talked about one other item that is kind of a thing that we may pursue later on, but we don't have. I don't think we have anything on for today. Yes.
All I was saying was I'm cool with anything as long as we don't have 600 ideas.
Okay. We'll limit it to below 600. Yes. 600, 599 or less. Yes, Member Stein.
Yeah, so I'll just say, I did put that thing in there, which alarmed everybody about limiting a complainant to 5 per calendar year. That is something we could discuss, like how that could be structured if we were to do something like that. And I also have thought about other versions of that where we say once they've done 5, all the other complainants, they're not prioritized after that. And complainants who have not yet been heard will be prioritized for the remainder of the year. And my thinking there would just be to get people who put in a lot of complaints to pick their top 5, if they're going to hear them, or maybe there could be a process there where they say, okay, I've submitted 20 complaints, but these are the 5 I want to be heard first. So that there's like a little bit of triage there, because as I said, like for the 4 years now, I think that I've been doing the annual review, we can only hear maybe 60 cases a year. Maybe it's up to 70 now. It's not a whole lot. And half of those will be by, 5 people or less. And they're often bringing very similar complaints. I mean, not always. And I think it is legitimate that there might be a journalist out there who legitimately, wants to bring 10 complaints, but still there are many other people whose complaints aren't being gotten to in a timely fashion. So maybe it becomes something where we let you pick your 5, and then you're not prioritized until we get through everybody else who has submitted a complaint that year or something like that. And then maybe you also write your complaints in a way that it's going to go to the core of what it is that you need or want. So I'm not saying we have to make any decision on it now. I obviously don't have a proposal. I just kind of, because it's been on my mind for so long, I slipped it into that thing and then I immediately regretted it, because I'm like, no, I don't think most of the changes here are that substantive. And then I'll say another thing that I tried to slip in there, if we were going to be reviewing the complaint procedure, was to really think more carefully about compliance and how we monitor it, because in the current rules, it says we may send it to a committee for compliance. I actually think that if there are documents outstanding, it shouldn't be a may, it should be a will. We will send it to someone, just so there's someone tracking it. Because otherwise what often happens at the end of a year is I go back and I look at, okay, here's all the cases we heard. Here's the ones we asked for something to be submitted or given or whatever. And then nobody has looked at it. Nobody has monitored whether it was submitted or not. Nobody knows what happened to it. And, we've been sort of doing this thing where we're more and more, since I've been on the task force, trying to be mindful of that and say that, okay, this should be sent to a committee for monitoring. I actually think it should be sent to the compliance committee, because why do we have a compliance committee if not to monitor compliance and have a committee that's kind of got oversight of what's happening in the realm of compliance and can begin to maybe think about, how can we do this effectively, for instance, rather than having it be assigned all over the place. But so I did try to slip in something saying that we will monitor compliance. I didn't actually say specifically through the compliance committee, but this is also a question I have. Like, we have all these committees. Do they have specific things they're meant to focus on? Are we letting those committees do the things they're meant to focus on, or, or not? Right. And I'll just say, I also agree with Member Schmidt. We feel like the Sunshine Ordinance is written in a pretty powerful way, but we really just do like mainly one thing, which is just hearing these cases. And then compliance kind of falls by the wayside, and compliance is actually one of the most important things.
I agree that we should agenda. I think it's a great item for us to work on. Of course, I don't want to get into a big debate tonight, but I disagree with the idea of limiting petitioners. I agree with the commenter about that, actually. Not only because I do think that it's an issue of fairness, but because it would be, as he pointed out, potentially a policy matter that we couldn't even do, but that we also would never unanimously or even close to, I don't think as a full board, agree on it in that way. But I do think that there is something to be said for prioritization. And I will note personally that yes, it is, there are certain members who are certain petitioners that petition more often. Sometimes that presents a challenge for us. But I also tend to agree with the process and the sentiment that it does challenge the public agencies to be more cooperative and effective in their compliance with the Sunshine Law. It's just a matter of making sure that we are also hearing other cases around ones that are filed quite voluminously. And I would like to agendize that for like next month or the month after for us to continue discussion on how to create a policy like a revised one.
Yeah, maybe next time around we can make our top three going forward. Top three things that are, like you say, are we gonna do any kind of limits, and how are we gonna do them? And then the idea of compliance is another. What do we want to create or change with regards to monitoring or enforcing compliance? And maybe, we pick out three pieces and we say those are the ones we're gonna go forward with. And if we may decide with one of them that we're just not going to do anything, and then we take that off the list, and maybe we can add something at that point. But we may want to, keep looking at that language of 6730, figure out, what we think, ideas that we might have, people in this committee, about pushing the envelope on the powers of the task force, not just doing cases. And I think that we've agreed, the committee, Member Stein and I, and Member Sugarman, certainly, we've agreed for a long time that that's something that it's sort of like a functional imbalance that we think should be corrected. There should be a less weight and less time on simply the complaints. Anyone want to add on this before we move on to number 13? Okay. Let's see. Did we need to vote? Did we ever do the vote on the message to?
I think that was, I don't think it
Yes,
needs.
we had 4 ayes. I have it in my notes.
Okay.
Yes.
4 ayes. We voted. Okay. We can close 12.
Public comment on item 12? Is it necessary?
No.
No. Item 13, announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items by members of the complaint committee.
Well, I will say welcome, Member Kumar. I think we're all very happy to have you here, and hopefully this works out for you. We'll try to be nice.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm also so grateful that the timing is 5:30 because that works for me and I hope it stays.
Yes, absolutely. And we're trying to get done at a reasonable hour, although this was a pretty long one today. But 9 o'clock. Yeah, we're going to finish up. Yes.
I remember Member Schmidt asking me to join this committee 2 years ago. I made the mistake of not doing that. I hope to not repeat that again.
Yeah, don't make that mistake again. That's right. All right. Okay, any other announcements, comments, questions, or future agenda items? No? Okay, let's go to the next item.
Item 14, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
The meeting is adjourned at 9:02 p.m. Microphones are off.